Hello and welcome to the Eclectic Collection. Today is episode 42, The Genius of John Hughes. So excited because in studio today, I have very own, my dear friend, the pool hygiene doctor. This is the first time that I've ever had a person in studio with us today. We're so excited. You can't see him, but good old Kevin, sound engineer, is even smiling. How are you today, my pool hygiene doctor?
I'm doing well, thanks. I feel like I should have an intro song or some kind of...
You've been saying that for a while. We have to do that. We might come up with one. It took us a while to get one for the Eclectic Collection. And all you eclectors out there, don't forget that we're doing this crazy thing on YouTube called Mysterious Morsels. And while you're busy checking out Mysterious Morsels, make sure that you check out the Pool Hygiene Doctor, because if you want a pool, have a pool, is thinking about getting a pool, or need to know quick info that's going to keep your pool healthy, you want to go check out everything that he's doing, because he is the master and has been as long in that business as I have in entertainment and the radio, so he knows what he's talking about. Today, however...
Emphasis on quick.
Emphasis on quick. I'm the garrulous one. Sorry. Today we're talking about the genius of John Hughes. I'd like to point out that this title was brought to me by the Pool Hygiene Doctor. I've always been obsessed. He's as obsessed as I am, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things that John Hughes has brought to the proverbial table, especially the works that he's done that you may or may not know about. And I just love him. He loves him. If you grew up in Gen X, you've definitely had your whole world shaped by John Hughes, and he's just one of those awesome people. Unfortunately, he left this earth way too early, but he started out as an ad man, and from what I'm told, he was in Chicago often and didn't really want to do the LA thing with movies, so often fought to stay in Chicago to either film or do major parts of things. And he started out writing, we really think, for ads, and then it kind of progressed, and he was writing a little bit for National Lampoon's, their magazine. And Harold Ramis, who went on to be obviously a famous director, actor, guy from Ghostbusters, did Caddyshack, etc. Exactly. He came in with Vacation. So that was what, 1984? Is that where?
1983.
83. Okay, so he writes for Vacation, and they really liked him. Harold Ramis, of course, directs it. But Vacation ends up leading to European Vacation, which comes out a little bit after. And then I believe we go to Christmas Vacation, which everybody's seen.
Best Christmas movie of all time.
Obviously. You know, the light scene alone, I get a kick out of. I went to see European Vacation, and I had just come back. I was young, and I had been on my first trip to Europe, so it was hilarious for me because of the places they were seeing and stuff they were doing. I was bummed that Anthony Michael Hall didn't stay the son in that one. Do we know why? I was just curious.
Well, if you noticed, they changed 3 times.
Okay.
The son was the oldest in one movie, then the daughter was the oldest in another movie.
Yes.
So it goes back and forth and back and forth. You're older than me, so you would remember this.
Of course, obviously. I'm pretty sure you're coming up on a birthday, though. Just saying. Yeah. So he might be, give or take, 5 or 6 years older than me. So he's a liar. Just know that going into it. But he doesn't lie about pools. So Vacation, very cool. Again, he doesn't direct it, but he writes it, and he's got just the insight of people. And I had read a book called Chasing John Hughes, and honestly I kind of didn't like the book. I'm not gonna lie. I only got it for the title, thinking it was going to be a little bit more about him, and it was this guy's quest, and sadly the guy was kind of a wanderlust and didn't have a great life, and he kind of looked to John Hughes for just looking through the movies in his life, but he was literally looking for John Hughes, never quite bumps into him. And that's kind of the miserable part of the story, but he would take like pieces and bits of things and say that he was interested in that, and that's what kept him going, and he got through a drug addiction and this and that. But a fun fact I did not know, which I really only got from reading that book, was that when he follows him like early on from ads and going to Chicago and the whole Cubs thing, you could speak more to the sports than I can, because he always has a jersey. In Vacation, is he wearing Cubs?
I still wear the Griswold jersey.
But it doesn't Anthony Michael Hall have Cubs on? Is it Cubs?
No, it's not Anthony Michael Hall.
No, the first one. Doesn't he have a jersey on in the first one?
He has a Blackhawks jersey.
Oh, Blackhawks.
That would be
Okay.
Hockey. Okay,
because he has, at one point, throughout all of them, he's got different jerseys happening that are like really, pertinent to what he's doing and where he was living at the time. But they always said there was like a subtle mix there. I didn't really know that much about the teams.
Are you nervous for having me on?
To hook to Chicago's.
Fast right now.
I always talk fast. I think people just listen too slowly. That's what I think it is.
And you don't talk this fast normally.
I do. I talk quickly all the
time.
I talk really quickly all the time. People listen too slow, I would argue. But one of the other neat things that I had really gleaned from this book was that, in addition to wanting to stay in Chicago and do a lot of work there, apparently John Hughes had said at some point that there was this little house where I guess they filmed the Breakfast Club not Breakfast Club. They filmed.
Ferris Bueller?
No, they filmed 16 Candles, and you could still go visit it, and it was near
yes.
this kid where he lived. So that was neat, and like they don't give me an address, but they tell you it's a movie tour thing now, and I thought that was cool.
Well,
so.
I know we haven't gotten the Ferris Bueller's Day Off yet,
Right.
But his address, if you see the address on Ferris Bueller's actual
Oh,
house,
yeah.
2800, that's where he grew up at, 2800.
Oh.
The name of the
Okay.
Fun fact.
I did
I
not
just
know
wanted
that.
to interject something. I'm sitting here doing nothing.
Nice. It's okay. Oh wow, Kevin the engineer. He laughs. I keep calling him the
Kevin
engineer,
is a real
but
person,
he is a real person. I know, but he never says anything. I mean, feel free to jump in at any moment. So we talked about the vacations, and that leads to 16 Candles, his first directorial debut, and that comes out in '84. So the most obvious thing to me was that Shermer High School, Shermer, Illinois. Shermer's not real.
No, it's made up.
It's a completely fictional place.
And yet 5 of his movies
Yes,
come from there.
and they do talk about that. If you look closely on the building, I don't even see that. I don't even see the words high school when they're dropping them
Shermer
off.
is on there. I remember when the breaking glass scene came on
Right.
for Breakfast Club. I
Okay.
believe it showed.
Because he says,
I only watched the movie yesterday, so I should remember.
I know, right? When you go through the beginning and they're dropping everybody off, allegedly, you said that John Hughes is one of the dads?
He's one of the dads that drops off.
Okay.
We want to think it's
Ali Sheedy. Yeah, I think it's the basket case. I think so. I also just noticed in the beginning, Richard Hashimoto principal, it says on the principals, you never see him.
That's true.
But on the nameplate, which was funny because he was a producer of the movie.
And they also used John Hughes' Cadillac to drop off one of the people. I can't remember which one.
I think the Cadillac was Molly Ring. No, I don't know. The Cadillac might have been Ali Sheedy.
Either way.
I think he drives it, yeah.
I believe it says something on the license plate again. It escapes me what it was, but it was John Hughes' actual
Okay.
car.
That's funny he would use that, but classic. He got such a good response out of that, and yet I heard it was tough to make because they took prison shots. That's the cinder block. So when you're inside, he made it look like a school. They constructed the library, but it was actually a prison. So they took the external shots from a real school, and then they did like prison shots, and that's where they got all the concrete. Although the library scene is fantastic, so they came in and like made a room out of it. There I go, hitting things. And unfortunately, when they went to go to edit a few times, they had some problems, but it did obviously come out, and of course it turned out great. But
Orange is the new black.
nice. You were saying that the Judd Nelson thing, so about the actual Molly Ringwald he had already had an affinity for and had her in a lot of his work, but Judd Nelson wasn't supposed to be.
No, he was, from what I recall, he was almost thrown out of his
Wow.
his interview, and he caused so much trouble that they called security, and security came up to take him out.
Wow.
As that happened, they called him in. He won the spot. Who else? I think it was John Cusack. Was
Okay.
up for that. Would have been an
I like
interesting
him.
bender.
I know, right?
He was also going to be Walter White. Could you imagine that for Breaking
Yeah,
Bad?
that would have been strange. Was Nick Cage part of that too, or no? Is that
Nicolas
nothing?
Cage
He was supposed to be in
yes,
it? Okay.
And he wanted too much money. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I can't see either of them in that role. Maybe Cusack, but I just feel like Judd Nelson did such a great job that I can't envision anybody else being Bender. And in the teaching world, it makes me laugh because, of course, you have these thoughts of detention on Saturday when that really meant something.
He said that he snuck into a high school because he was 24 when he played the role.
Yeah.
He snuck into the high school, a local high school, and just pretended to be a high school student.
Sadly, I could see him doing that.
EOOHO.
Yeah, well, I expected a little more from a varsity letterman. So I'm just saying, what's this? What are we doing? So no, Breakfast Club, huge success. Still love the part where the salami hits the crazy ugly sculpture.
That was one take. They said that was one take.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Again, I thought it was going to stay up there forever, but it's like, and it gets stuck there. But really, I hate to say it, but 80s now, whatever, and going forward, they're still kind of the. I wouldn't use the word clique, although they would, but it's still kind of the demographics of a high school. You've got the princess and the jock and the basket case and the nerd and the criminal, and that's kind of still how things go. So he was on to something.
I remember watching some kind of documentary on that statue. Remember he does that little dance and he jumps on it.
Yeah.
His hair's flipping back and forth. And they had to cement that into the ground and stake it in there. Or it would have come apart. But yeah, a lot of interesting backstories on Mr. Bender.
It was. That whole thing is pretty neat. And they've one time I was able to buy the screenplay and I gave it as a gift. I should have made a copy of it for myself and I didn't. I've never seen it again, but it was neat because you said there was a different ending and all in the first part.
Yeah,
I
there's
never
a
read
dark
it.
ending too that many people don't know about where the janitor, Carl, makes up stories where Bender commits suicide and Brian, I think, dies due to a heart attack because of his job and blah 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 blah. So, not the happy ending that you and I are used to.
I just like the part where he says that clock's 20 minutes fast. That was a great comeback for the janitor. But no, and he comes into other plays.
Works here?
So, yeah, he comes into other movies, which Breakfast Club gives way to Weird Science later in the year. I love Weird Science. I love Anthony Michael Hall. I still Kelly LeBrock. It's funny because she was a model. You didn't see her in too much as far as movies go. I really never saw her again, but she was perfect for that role. And I still get why your kitchen is blue. I don't know. I love that line. And even Bill Paxton, a young Bill Paxton. It's a shame he's left us, but he was hilarious as Chet. And the moms and dads in the story were kind of, I'll say, famous B actors at the time that have still come and gone a lot. And it was neat in the premise that they were first Apple computers and making something
that's how
technology.
They got her name. Her name was Lisa because the Apple III, I'm not sure what it was named Lisa. So they named her Lisa because she came from a computer and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Bras on top of their heads.
Right.
They constructed her from...
And a young Robert Downey Jr.
That is correct.
I loved him in that. That was before Less Than Zero, which was another great movie. But
yeah,
that's true. But it was a sad but great movie, and he never made Brat Pack status. But we'll talk about that in a bit, which upsets me. So after that, we do Weird Science. You start to see Ferris Bueller's Day Off comes around, and at that point, it's '86, which simultaneously Pretty in Pink happens. But here's the thing: and again, I read this in this book. He is finishing Pretty in Pink, which he did not direct, and I didn't know that. He wrote it. And there were edits to be done. And they were really on him to finish the edits. But John, being John, creative as he was, went upstairs and promised his editor, who literally slept at his house to make sure he would get everything finished. He went, wrote all night, and he came back down with Ferris Bueller. He's like, hey, I think this is a good news story. And the editor's like, we have to finish Pretty in Pink. So there's actually a delay. Both get done, obviously. But I didn't realize he didn't direct Pretty in Pink. So pretty cool. You start to see James Spader come into play. And, of course,
not a Brat Packer.
Who's not a Brat Packer. And you see Andrew McCarthy, who is an arguable Brat Packer, according to you. But Molly Ringwald, again, you said she didn't like the dress.
Yeah, she didn't like the dress she was forced to wear.
I wasn't a fan.
That was in Pretty in Pink, right?
Yeah, it was a bummer.
There's so many interesting things about Ferris Bueller. I mean, the mom and dad ended up dating and becoming...
I did not know that.
In real life.
Did not know that.
Matthew Broderick and Jennifer Grey ended up being engaged.
I didn't know that either.
There was a car accident in London or somewhere.
Oh.
And he was in the hospital for a lengthy period of time, and that kind of drove them apart. And then he married... Sarah Jessica Parker.
Right. Who was in Footloose, but different day. Yes. Funny thing about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I only knew this because a long time ago, Galaxy Far, Far Away, different movie. That could be a different one. We have the PG-13 rating doesn't really surface yet, and the first movie that got it was Red Dawn, which Jennifer Grey was in, and then she plays the sister in Ferris Bueller. Ferris Bueller got a PG-13 rating. So that was the first Hughes movie that got a PG-13 rating.
Interesting little bit about Jennifer Grey is she was supposed to be a middle child and not the second child. Mm-hmm. She torments the older brother the entire movie, but there were supposed to be two younger children whom they actually cut from the final cut. So
I didn't know that.
Interesting little bit of information.
I didn't know about the mom and dad either. I had no idea they got married in real life.
Yeah, what's their names? I can't remember their names.
I have no idea. I always thought that the guy was pretty funny, and in a weird way, he reminded me of like Fred Ward, but not.
I wish we had a studio guy that could look that up.
Right? I mean, we do. He just doesn't talk. He doesn't talk, sir. Sorry, little nod there to the Breakfast Club. So then that begets Ferris Bueller's Day Off, of course, fantastic. And
you know when he brings it. My favorite part is when he plays the clarinet.
Yeah.
Because I try to play the guitar and I'm horrible at it. So when I do this,
sounds like me on the drums.
I do these little funny videos, and they're like, never had one lesson. And that was from Ferris Bueller. Because he saw it, he picked it up, started playing it, and he plays it like it's a drum or a trumpet or something terrible.
Yeah, he's like, never had one lesson. I love the ending, of course, with the baseball, because that was fantastic. Now that was who? What team?
That was the Cubs.
That was the Cubs. That's where I got the Cubs. I got Cubs from somewhere. And, it's funny because Alan Ruck is way older.
He's 29 in that movie.
Right,
yeah.
But from this book that I read that I didn't really like, but I got some tidbits, he was working with Biloxi Blues.
Right.
and on theater, in the theater situation with him, and he called him up. But Alan Ruck wasn't. I think they had many choices for him, but they said he had a baby face, so they took him.
Well, Matthew Broderick was 24.
Yeah, and then the woman, the girlfriend, Simone, which was the only time she really acted after that. They said she didn't do it again. But I thought it was neat because even though he did kind of a baby face, of course, the whole scene with the Ferrari and the bad idea. And
by the way, there were 3 Ferraris in that movie because they couldn't afford one. Did you know that? They made it out of fiberglass. And I hate the scene where they shoot it out the window.
Yeah.
Such a waste.
I know, it was sad.
But
He's kicking it. It was good, though. I didn't know that they made it.
And if you see them, they're standing out looking at it, and it goes a lot farther than they anticipated, and they hit this fence on the other side of the lot. So, again, useless information, but funny when you watch it.
It was, because it does look good. It's all... But I just think that whole dynamic of them going around for the whole day and they're playing hooky and everything, and he plays the father and they're joking around.
They ate pancreas.
He was like, even I'm Abe Froman, Sausage King of Chicago. I'm laughing because it is in Chicago. The parade scene, I heard they stormed, and it was a real parade. Yes. And they sort of like took it over.
And the dance they do is from Thriller. If you notice, there's some people doing dance moves, and they stole from Michael Jackson.
Which, and for a long time, just the whole bit of it with the Beatles, back. I'm surprised they actually got the song to be able to use it, because that was a thing.
Matthew Broderick had some kind of knee injury at the time, so he couldn't do the dance moves as well.
Right.
And so they just kind of made... And if you see the whole float rocking back and forth...
Yeah, it looks like it's going to fall over. It cracks me up, though, because that whole idea of breaking the fourth wall really starts at Ferris Bueller. In the end, he comes out and he's like, "You're still here? Go home." Or
they filmed that first. It's weird.
And he looks at the audience a few times. So I get a kick out of that. I've always loved things like that. And that was sort of a new way to approach things. No different than, Lucas put all the credits for Star Wars coming at you at the screen. That was like unheard of, or putting credits at the end. So neat thing. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Honestly, I'm probably the weakest to talk about that because it came out in 1987. I love John Candy, R.I.P. Obviously, Steve Martin, hilarious, but it just makes me sad. And people watch it consistently on Thanksgiving or the night before. It's just so Willy Loman to me, like Death of a Salesman.
But it is a funny movie.
It is.
You can't take that away. And both actors are very popular actors, and they both list that as one of their top movies of all time that they enjoy being in. And you would never think that. No. And it just was neat, but at the same token, I'm like, so sad. I feel like, and again, this is me putting the psychologist hat on, but I feel like from that point forward, he does a lot more work, but things start to get a little, not necessarily darker, but sadder. So he does Uncle Buck in 1989, which, again, love John Candy. That's pure comedy gold, and a lot of that is slapsticky as opposed to, I'll say, humiliation comedy that's more in the Planes, Trains level. But launches Macaulay Culkin's career. Yes, and Home Alone 1, 2, and 3. So apparently he is in charge of writing, directing, etc. for Home Alone in 90, but then writes 2 and 3, 92, 97, but is just producing them. So I think it was funny, and Macaulay Culkin, I've seen him show up lately in like American Horror Story TV stuff, but not much. He made a lot of money as a kid. He doesn't have to do too much. He did, but he got into some shady stuff, and then I don't know what was going on. He was like backed up Michael Jackson when they had all that baloney. But in the middle, I couldn't tell you what he was doing. So the scene I remember most is when he grills, Uncle Buck. Yeah. And rumor has it that they had taped these cue cards onto his forehead, so he could just look right at him and just ask questions. Where are you from? What are you doing? Who's your girlfriend? I did not know that. So that's funny. He didn't have to memorize his lines. He just read off the top of John Candy's head. Because he was young. I mean, he was pretty young at that point. But he was, kind of funny because he's Kevin. Which, but just think of the careers that he launched. I mean, Molly Ringwald, of course. Definitely. Anthony Michael Hall. 100%. They really stood by him too. I think he worked with other people, obviously, but I think they were the two key hinge pins of everything they did. Alone, which is a different conversation for another day. We've had that discussion off. Yeah, like who's part of it technically. I mean, I would definitely put Molly Ringwald in it. I would definitely put Emilio Estevez in it. Like I said, Rob Lowe is in it. But one movie does not count. He did. He got his same thing with Andrew McCarthy. I would put Ali Sheedy and Demi Moore in that category. Ali Sheedy belongs there. She was in multiple. She did a few things. She was in War Games too. But like Matthew Broderick technically isn't part of that. But Matthew Broderick did War Games. But that is true. But he's technically not a Brat. And they hate the name, so I feel bad even saying it out loud. True.
because that was like not cool.
Who,
Although
who else?
they were hanging out at Spago with Wolfgang Puck a lot. From what I hear, they're eating gourmet pizzas. That was their thing in Vegas. But Emilio Estevez, and again, Charlie Sheen. Not really. Like, he's in, but he's not really in. So, but I would put Kiefer Sutherland in that crowd, and yet he's not really part of that.
You're losing me now.
Kiefer Sutherland?
No, you're losing me. He does not belong in the Brat Pack.
He doesn't, but he was associated with a lot of them at that time. So it's just depressing. But
why does the name escape me? The girl that when the window's blowing and she tries to kill herself and so-called shivers.
In what?
In both of those movies. Name escapes me. It'll come to me in a second.
Okay. Well, Ali Sheedy was where I went when you were talking about.
No, I got you.
She doesn't talk, sir. I love when she does the disgusting dandruff piece.
Right, well, that's not. We know that's Parmesan cheese.
Right.
That's
Yeah. And salami on the statue that got nailed to the wall. Although when she puts the crunch, it was Captain Crunch in the sandwich and squishing it together and eating something. I don't know.
And
give it a try.
Swizzle sticks or whatever those things.
Yeah, pixie stick. Yeah, and then it turns out. So from the Macaulay Culkin Home Alone, if you will, Curly Sue in '91 gets put in there as well. And again, he, kind of depressing, neat and different movie, kind of a departure. I would argue it's his Jersey Girl, if you will, And it's funny because like
people will get that reference. Though.
Well, and I liked it and I watched it and I love Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith always talks about John Hughes, how he emulated everything, and it's funny because I emulate them, at least in my head, because that's what I grew up with. I always like to write, and everything that I put together, I would think of them if I could be a shadow of what they are. It's neat because they were very good about seeing into kids and like the whole what makes everybody tick as a teenager, and I think it's very real even to today and holds up to today, despite that apparently he got a pseudonym, Edmond Dantes. Yes. I did not know that.
Dante's Inferno.
I had no clue that he did that. Dante's Inferno is very good. So he also did Made in Manhattan.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure I would admit to that.
I mean, still, he wrote and Beethoven, all the Beethoven movies. That was cute.
But Taylor, if my sister's watching.
Okay.
Owen Wilson.
And then The Great Outdoors, which was was not the last John Candy.
It may be.
No, I think didn't he die?
No, he did. He died in a movie that he played a cowboy. Believe it or not.
Okay.
New Mexico.
I vaguely remember them saying he had issues on the horse.
Some kind of deck.
I do. Yeah, I do remember that. Okay. Great Outdoors was toward the end because that was like, wasn't that Big Bear? Big Bear chased me. Yeah.
Curly Sue. Yeah, that was his last directorial.
Yeah, and it just he shaped Generation X as far as I'm concerned. I don't know anybody that can get through a day that's our age that can not really make a reference or have a thought about something he did, and he touched a lot because he either wrote it, directed, produced it, was friends with somebody who knew or did whatever. Harold Ramis in the beginning of I had seen like a documentary about Vacation. And it was specific to that, but he constantly brings up how Hughes was writing for National Lampoon, and they loved him, and started out as little cartoons and silly things. And it makes sense if he was doing ad revenue. But they say he was miserable doing ads and wanted to do all this. But he was such a quick writer, and there's so much more material that never really gets to the screen. And that's what I was starting to say before. The one, the miserable book I read, the guy said that Vacation came about because he used to take this vacation where they'd pile in a station wagon with his family and go every year to some place that he found boring, but the adventure of getting there was what made it funny. Right. And that's how it came about, and they liked it and they picked it up. And Ramis had just come off of Caddyshack, and he was saying that they kind of gave him some latitude, and some people didn't want to use John Hughes for the writing, and he was like, this guy's great, and they all kind of vouched for each other, and it worked out well. So that's what began the career. Unfortunately, he passed away August 6th of 2009, and he was kind of in reclusivity from a while before. It's depressing. He died in the 60s. To me, it's like a J.D. Salinger situation. He got all this fame, almost didn't like it, was a private guy, still rocking the John Denver glasses, and had like the bad mullet, and yet just kind of went away and was like, don't talk to me. Somebody knocked up on his house, and they have like a quick clip of two guys that were chasing John Hughes, and they never, I think he opens the door, realizes what's going on, and he's like, thanks, and closes the door, and that's it. And that's the last, anybody heard of him on any kind of film. I have yet to get that. I've been looking for it for a while. I think it's called Searching for John Hughes, but
Yeah,
I never watched it.
Well, the guy's a genius. I mean,
Yeah.
just writing 16 Candles in a weekend. I mean, can you
Yeah.
imagine? Or 3 movies in a 6-month period.
Yeah.
He did. That's incredible.
I know.
That's just genius.
And now I feel like there's so much red tape, you would never be able to get everything made as quickly, as at
It
that
takes me
point.
10 minutes to do a 5-second video. That's hard.
But it's quality we're going for. It's quality. They will know about their pools. So yeah, no, I do like him. I miss him. It's a shame because I feel like I don't want to end on a bad note, but people have been saying, oh, if you retrofit his stuff to today, no, and no. I don't even want to hear about it. I don't even want to argue about it. I just think it's wrong. People, it's a different era. Every era is different for a reason, and I feel like people are far too sensitive today about a lot of things. And it was all meant to be comedy, and it was meant to be funny, and it was pretty real, and that's what people don't understand. Sometimes there's just negative things in life and you have to deal with them, and he presented the awkward and the strange and the teenage and the adolescent, which all that was going on, honestly, and that's what made it funny because it's true, and there's a little bit of truth in every joke. So I just feel like everybody's a little too hypersensitive these days, but I don't feel that there was anything wrong with any of that stuff, and it was pretty well done as well. So.
Oddly enough, one of the movies we didn't mention was his most lucrative. You want to take a guess of what that was?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I don't know what brought him in this.
The 101 Dalmatians. Not one you would think of.
Right. He did write that.
But he has parts of the royalties.
Yeah.
Which nowadays, everything is royalties. Can you
Sure.
imagine saving your Star Wars things from when you were a kid?
I had trading cards. I had Star Wars trading cards. I don't know what happened to them. I think I had like a Banta. But whatever came in the cereal that day. That's funny because, I forgot he had written that. That was like the first one because they've since gone on to do God knows how many renditions. Right. And was that the first with Glenn Close?
I believe that was
okay.
Close, yeah.
But he didn't do the sequels.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, I don't think so either.
Just like Home Alone. He's like, all right, I'm done with that.
Yeah. Well, he still produced them though, but sure. That's interesting. So despite all of our blustering about the 80s and of course the Brat Pack or who's in it and who's not, really it comes down to John Hughes because if it wasn't for him, I don't know that we would have even had a Brat Pack or all these cool things to talk about. But what's that line from Ferris Bueller that I love so much? Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Very true. Also breaking the fourth wall. Just saying.
Classic line.
Classic. We have lots of classic lines in there. How many times a week do I say to you, I expect a little more from a Varsity Letterman?
Too many to count.
Well, maybe if you're willing to come back, Pool Hygiene Doctor, then maybe we'll have more fun times and break down each of these just to torture and inform more people that are crazy like us that are as interested in all this useless knowledge.
Yeah, maybe we can do less takes next time.
Nice. Well, see, they don't know that because it's one seamless, perfect thing in their world. They don't know any better. My sister teases me and calls me Cliff Clavin sometimes because I have useless information.
Can we get just a cardboard cutout of Kevin?
We could, but then the cardboard's not going to do the actual tough stuff that he does.
I'm not sure he does. I haven't seen him move since we started.
Well, I mean, hey, he's been smiling, and that means that's good
like
things.
The Ben Stein of this whole.
He is Bueller, Adams, Fry. Nice.
Fry,
I do like that.
Fry.
I say that often. He had win Ben Stein's money for a little while, but what happened to that? He's just a smart man.
It was just
went bye. I know. It's like Remote Control on MTV. That made me sad. Love that show. But we'll talk about that.
With Adam Sandler, right? Didn't he come on? And
he came on once or twice, but no, it was I was the host.
He was the host.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess yeah. It was neat. It was like.
Lathering.
That's all right. We do it all the time. So, Pool Hygiene Doctor, again, please catch him on YouTube because if you have a pool, want a pool, or thinking about getting a pool, which God knows I've wanted a pool for a long time, so I always listen to the Pool Hygiene Doctor. But
you can take mine.
I could, yeah, your fictional pool. But check him out on YouTube while you're busy checking out Mysterious Morsels. And as always, becoming a collector because that's what cool people do. So like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. And if you liked our craziness today, then check us out at eclecticcollectionpodcast.com or listen to us on your preferred platform. I'm Terry Tenaglia with the Pool Hygiene Doctor and our first ever really cool.
Dun, dun, dun.
Nice. We have to get you a theme song, buddy. But our first dual podcast. This is quite the moment. So thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
Always.